me bring in a guest here, Harun Armağan, sorry, yes, Armağan, member of the AK Party Central Decision-Making Board. It's good to have you, and apologies, I was just told that you were with us as we were just speaking to the last guest. It's great to have you with us. You are with us tonight as we await. Well, you're more than welcome, and there's been an extended invitation to have you on for some time. We have you here tonight. What do you make of where we are at?
I had really hard time to come on, actually.
Well, you're with us now. What do you make of where we are at?
Okay, let me just start, Becky. First of all, I have to say I'm very disappointed tonight to see the program on CNN International. It has been a mudslinging operation from all sorts of cases, from economy to earthquake, any sort of accusation, attacks, they were there, but the response for the government team wasn't there. Me and my friends were calling the whole night.
I have you on now to respond on behalf of the government. We've been talking, hang on, sir. We've been talking about an economy where inflation is spiraling, where a cost of living crisis is very serious, and we've been discussing the impact of the election, the status of refugees, and foreign policy going forward. This is your opportunity, and what is an incredibly competitive race to discuss where the incumbent president and his party is at. So just explain what you are seeing and where we are at.
I will in a moment. But really, it is really bad to see that CNN International is not living up to its own standards. We see 10 guests all attacking the government, and there is no one from the government to respond. And we've been calling for hours. Finally, we were given a chance to speak.
Let me just stop you here. The invitations have been extended. You are on to discuss what is an incredibly consequential election. We are looking at an extremely tight race for president, and indeed we will discuss what is going on in the parliamentary ballot. You are on to discuss with us, and we've extended an invitation to the president.
Okay, let me start.
Listen, you are on to discuss where we are at. Please.
Okay. First of all, regarding the economy, like I have been on ground in the last 3 months, and we've been talking to electorates, and we've seen that they have been showing a great confidence to President Erdogan and AK Party that we can things better. And economy is already recovering in Turkey. We have seen 40% drop in the inflation. And our economy is not immune from the global challenges. The pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine war, the rocketed energy prices have all attacked not only Turkey, but also Germany, US, UK, and many other countries as well. Germany was expressing the worst economy in the last 40 years. And of course, Turkey was affected.
You're absolutely right to point out that there are many other countries around the world struggling. We're looking at a
If you allow me to finish my point, Becky.
Can I just fill in the gap here? 43% inflation and a Turkish lira down 60% in the last 2 years. Please, you're on to discuss where we are at now. And
if you allow me to,
the incumbent president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to win this race, how would his economic policy change? I think our viewers would be really interested to hear.
If you allow me to finish my point, I will make that. I will answer that question as well. The inflation is dropping 40% in the last 6 months. We have created 2 million jobs last year, and we have reached the historic high tourism and export income in 2022. And the indicators are showing that the inflation will continue to drop till the end of the year, and we will have single-digit inflation next year. What we have been doing in all this time, we have been continuing investing on technology, innovation, and energy, and they have been paying off, and we already started that. We have integrated the largest power plants of hydroelectric and solar power plants in last 6 months. And we just had the first nuclear power plant now in use in Turkey under the AK Party government. And all these projects will pay off. And most importantly, maybe the first time we are now able to take out the natural gas in our own reserves. And people on the ground, when
and you are
we go to
talking
them,
about some
they understand this
significant
and they
wins,
know that
some significant wins
all of
for the
these
Turkish
will
economy.
impact
Can I ask,
positively the Turkish economy.
absolutely, let me ask you, will policy change under President Erdogan were he to win this race, with regard interest rates, for example? I mean, the president has taken a very unconventional approach to fighting inflation by keeping interest rates low. That is not the approach we have seen from other countries around the world who have been through, as you rightly point out, similar economic issues over the last couple of years. Will that approach change? What's called by many of President Erdogan's detractors as a sugar rush policy?
First of all, Becky, the interest rate is determined by the central bank, and central bank is an independent, and they are making this decision. However, the policy of Turkish government to make sure that the innovation, the investment on innovation, technology, and renewable energy will continue in the next term as well. And we know that this is paying to us, to Turkish government. Now we will have a lot more chance to produce our own energy, which was the biggest toll in our export costs. And now Turkey will have that money within the country, and it will continue to be used to more investments on energy and technology and innovation. This policy will continue, and we know that Turkey has a huge young population that is keen to work on innovation, that is keen to develop technology, and we will see that in the next few years that this will pay off eventually.
Is it? I mean, I have to ask you this: is it fair to suggest that this has been a vote primarily based on economic policy and the state of the Turkish economy? Do you accept that? Because certainly when you talk to any voter, and I've talked to many voters since I've been here, and many people who've been watching this election, the economy is front and centre. The cost of living crisis has been swinging, and were President Erdogan not to win this presidential race, it would primarily be on the back of the state of the economy. Do you concede that?
Look, I think the most important point for people when we go to them, they understand the economic situation is one of the priorities for them. But they understand that President Erdogan is someone who delivers. Who delivers not in only 5 years, who has been delivering in the last 20 years. People look around, the most important projects to their life were all actually completed under President Erdogan. The hospitals, like they understood the huge infrastructure that we had on hospitals, the real value at the COVID time, where the whole world almost were suffering for the hospital capacities, but Turkey wasn't. Turkey actually made a very good experience for its people during this time, because we increased 50% increase before since we came in charge. We increased 60% of the capacity hospitals, and now we are making investments on other fronts: energy, technology, innovation on first electric car, and people see that President Erdogan is delivering. On the other hand, when they look at the other candidates, they don't see any track record of delivering anything at all.
Let me ask, let's move away from the economy, and thank you for your perspective. Let's talk about foreign policy. Specifically, let's talk about Turkey's relationship with the United States in the first instance. The Turkish president making an allegation just in the past 24 hours that Joe Biden, the US president, is trying to topple this presidency. What do you make of that? And can you explain where that's from, and how policy will change, if at all, with Washington going forward, were President Erdogan to continue his rule?
I think Turkish foreign policy has been great in the last 5 years, especially with our role as a NATO member. taking a role to bring Ukraine and Russia on the table and secure the grain deal is probably the greatest achievement of last 5 years. Perhaps with this achievement, there has been several hundreds of millions of people in Africa were actually saved from hunger. And I think this is a great achievement. And again, President Erdogan and Turkey is taking the most important role when it comes to Syria, for the refugees, for taking actually creating an atmosphere that is safe for them. If United States foreign policy is failing to actually provide an area in Syria that is safe from terror, I think that's something they should be asking to themselves. Turkey has taken a lot of
Let's talk about the status of Syrian refugees. How will the status of Syrian refugees change under a President Erdogan leadership going forward?
Look, when no one was taking an initiative, no one was taking responsibility, we have accepted almost more than 4 million people, more than 4 million refugees to Turkey, to our country. And we have been making sure those people are getting the best education, the best health services while they are in Turkey. And we also work with Russia, European countries, US, all the NATO partners to make sure that we can create a safe, terrorist-free Syria from terrorist ISIS and from terrorist PKK, so those people safely can go back to their countries. And the diplomacy that we are doing with the Syrian government is to make sure that those people feel safe. Had more European countries, had United States took more responsibility, we would have solved this problem already.
Before I let you go, and as we're talking foreign policy, what is President Erdogan's current position with regard to the European Union?
Are you going to have someone else from the government?
I'm going to take a very short break and then continue our discussions with our guests. It's good to have you on, and I'm just asking you for your for the position. Will there be any change with regard relations with the EU going forward? Were President Erdogan to win this race?
Our relations with our neighbors, with EU in particular, NATO, has been always straightforward, and we are always open to make sure that we are always open to improve relations. However, this bilateral relations can only be improved if the wishes are the same from the both sides. And I think Turkey has been doing all its responsibility to improve the relations. But I don't see the European side, especially now we see that some of the countries are allowing terrorist PKK to freely campaign in Europe. This is a terrorist organization not only recognized by Turkey, by EU, US, and NATO countries. But we aren't seeing really taking a sincere role to clean out this terrorist organization and their attacks to Turkey. And I think we can only improve our relations, and we are there to make sure that we do our part, and we have always been doing. But we see the same reaction from the other part.
Harun, how long do you believe it will be this evening before we get a full result with regard to the presidential election? How long will it be before we know whether this race will go to a second round? And to your mind, do you think that is likely?
I believe that we will get the first round win. But whatever happens at the end of night, maybe we'll know in a few hours, is that President Erdogan has got more votes than the second candidate, 3-4 millions. And that's a huge number. That's a huge number when all the opposition were actually united against President Erdogan. That's a huge vote that President Erdogan has got, despite all the global challenges we've seen in the last 5 years. I think that should tell you why people continue to support Erdogan, why people continue to trust AK Party and President Erdogan for the next 5 years. Because their hopes for the future can only be delivered by President Erdogan and AK Party team.
The perspective of Harun Armağan there, aka Party Central Decision Making Board. It's good to have you